welcome back. Today is a good day because I'm gonna be introducing you to my journal ecosystem. I've seen these videos all over my YouTube feed and I immediately wanted to hop on this trend because journaling is so important to me by how sane it manages to keep me. My boyfriend thinks that the concept of a journal ecosystem is so silly and goofy, and I agree, but it makes sense. It works because although mine is pretty small, each journal serves its own purpose and it feels cohesive for me. Everything, it just makes sense. And it helps me feel more organized and not like everything is all over the place in one place, if that makes sense. So it helps me also to stay consistent. I've had the habit of journaling for the past 10 years now, and I can't deny that it's one of the best habits one person can have, especially when it comes to writing about your feelings. So that's what my personal journal is for. This is where you can find my most intimate, darkest thoughts. If I ever became famous and the cancel culture committee finds this journal, I'm done. This journal serves both the purpose of being a safe space, but it also serves the purpose of being the potential key to my downfall. Okay, it's not that bad, but you know what I mean. Since this is where my most unfiltered thoughts and emotions are, I also like to take it with me whenever I go to therapy because it's very helpful when talking about my documented emotional roller coaster that I always go through every once in a while. Since I don't always carry it with me, sometimes I need to find like some scrap paper and then I just end up gluing it in here. And I still refuse to carry it around because one, I don't want it to get lost. I would literally die. And two, it's kind of heavy to carry around and I'm not always writing on it. I mostly just do either morning pages or before I go to bed. This has to be one of my favorite journals that I ever had because one, my mom gave it to me, and two, the cover is fabric and it feels so nice and squishy. It's from TJ Maxx and they have other variations, but I think this has to be the prettiest, at least for me. Okay, so next up I have my Commonplace journal. I think this is my favorite out of all the ones that I currently have. I started this one recently and the purpose of it is to have something I can reference in the future. I kind of consider this journal to be sort of an extension of my brain because I love taking notes about random things that I learn, especially about paleontology or coding, because I don't want to forget any of those things. This is my place for ideas, brainstorming as well, and sometimes even book reviews. For this type of journal, I usually prefer a grid paper because it gives me a bigger sense of structure and it's so satisfying to look at afterwards. Before this one, I had already started a Commonplace journal, which I loved, but I got stuck on the rain and it got really wet, and once it dried, it was so stiff that I couldn't deal. I think the reason I loved it so much was because I had some notes on a scientific paper that I found about an exoplanet. And a lot of people were spreading so much misinformation about it on Facebook that I took it upon myself to actually read the paper and see what they were talking about. Because I just hate how people assume that life in other planets is like an actual alien and not microscopic life. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that right now, but that's why I loved keeping a Commonplace journal. Because even if those are things that I don't study on a daily basis, whatever I learned that I wanna reference back to and I want to remember, I think it's very useful. And also I kind of needed a separation from my personal and my Commonplace book because I didn't want to have a suicide note next to a grocery list, for example, you know? So that's what made me get a Commonplace journal in the first place. I am also very proud of this cover. I wanted to include everything that I love as much as I could. I have Lana Del Rey, Supernatural, a dinosaur, and Taylor Swift, and 222, my lucky number, and my nickname. I think it's pretty cute. I love it. I'm so proud of it. I also wrapped it with that one clear wrapper that moms put on textbooks to protect the books. So just to keep everything together, to live for the hope of it all. Cancer pledge, just in case you call, just meet me behind the mall. Then I have my Muji Undated planner. I know this is not a journal, but I wanted to include it because I can and because it's something I also use every day. My favorite thing about it is that it's undated, of course, because I don't have to stress about missing any weeks or months or whatever, so I can just pick it back up whenever I want if I ever stop using it. I also love that it has a grid page within the weekly layout because that way I can do my to-do lists and just write whatever. I know it doesn't look that pretty right now, but I love the feel of it. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I love the plastic cover. It looks so aesthetic. I don't know how to explain it, but I love it. And last but not least is my dream journal. I also started this one recently, so I don't have that many entries. I've been writing my dreams for a very long time now, and while I cannot tell you about any specific benefit from this, at least in my case with the kind of dreams that I have, it's always so fun to revisit my crazy ass dreams. I am so convinced that all of my dreams take place in the same universe, so whenever I go to sleep, I just resume whatever was going on. All of my dreams are either continuations from old ones, taking place in the same old, strange places that I have never been before in reality, or they're repetitions, as if I'm having a second chance to fix the mistakes that I did in whatever dream I was in, because I still had the memory of it. Even if I am repeating that same dream, I know what happened last time I made a specific decision in that dream, so I tried the other one. I don't know, my therapist was pretty impressed when I told her that, but she didn't say anything else about that. She just took notes. This is also one of those random journals that they have at TJ Maxx. I think it's so cute. And I love the pages because they're cream colored. I decided to pick a bigger one because my dreams tend to be really elaborate. And if I were to be writing on a smaller notebook, I would grow desperate and just stop writing. So I think that for my dreams, I think it's more comfortable to have a bigger journal, even if I end up also writing on the margins for some reason. And the thing about this is that obviously hours after we wake up, we don't remember our dreams. So if we write them down, even if you read about it like a year later, you're gonna read it and you're like, oh, I remember this. So at least that's my case. I remember everything because they're like, oh yeah, that happened and then this happened. So it's always fun to revisit that. If you don't keep a dream journal, I suggest that you do, just for the fun of it. Even if your dreams are as traumatizing as mine, you don't even have to figure out what's wrong with you. I just think it's so fun. So that is all that I have for you today. I know the video was pretty short, but I hope that you still enjoyed. I also hope that this video helps as a reminder that it's okay to keep more than one journal if you don't want everything in one single journal. It's not overconsumption if each of them has a purpose. I don't know how I could tie this with my previous video about the importance of keeping physical media, but I think it would also apply to journaling because I saw this interview of a writer. I think it was in one of those late night shows. I don't remember. I just saw it on my reels. But she was talking about the connection between our minds and our hands as we handwrite everything. And that's something that stuck to me, specifically in this convenience-driven digital era that we live in. So I hope that this also inspires you to keep a journal of your own if you haven't already. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today. I will see you guys next week with the next video.